mean?
You get to travel around, you get to stay in fancy hotels.
Mm.
So
Mm,
glamorous. All right. Are we good to go?
good to go.
Amazing. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us, especially during school holidays for many of us. We know it's a bit of a juggle, so it's lovely to see all your faces. Um, as always, anyone that's got some issues, this is the time to bring them up, and then we'll launch into some other little topics. Today on my list of things, I thought it'd be great to talk about AI, which is a very buzzword that not a lot of us don't use, but I'm interested to know who's using it, and maybe talk about smart connectors if we have time. But at the top of it, would love to throw it out to anyone having issues. I can see online from the Events Air community page that quite a few people are having issues at the moment with since the latest update. And the only issue I've come across so far is I was trying to clone quite a large database this morning and it just denied. It just froze and it didn't get there, and it would just go back to as if it wanted me to do it again. I tried twice, failed, so I ended up creating a new database for what I was working on. I was just needing something for a sample, but it's highlighted to me that I definitely need it to be able to clone for when we're doing that particular event again soon. I'm interested to know if anyone else has had that issue or if anyone else has had other issues in the last few days, week. Throw that out to the masses there.
Yeah,
Nancy.
yeah, I've had a weird issue this morning of trying to, and I had a little bit over the weekend, but I just gave up because it was the weekend. I took it as a sign, where it was coming up saying I couldn't even get to Events Here. It was just coming up saying something's gone wrong, go back. And then this morning I've been doing some work in one of my clients' Events Here build, and it just wasn't, like, it was taking forever to open forms, and then I refreshed the page and then it wouldn't load at all, and then it's been fine since. So really, like, random and sporadic, which is almost more frustrating than it just not working all the time, I find.
And it kind of sounds like it's because you mentioned before that you have some different clients,
Yes.
different instances of events there, and some are fine and some aren't. So
Yeah.
it maybe is an issue with the server that one's being hosted on potentially.
Yeah.
I've found that in the past. Sometimes I'll work
Definitely.
in a couple of instances of events there, and one is good, and I'll go in, and one's got a problem, and I'll go into the other one to check whether the same problem exists, to know whether it's a global issue or it's specific to that server.
Yeah.
And obviously always we get the clear your cache and browser history, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But have you had a resolution on your issues at all? Or
I've actually
just
not
come
been
right?
back in there because I'm waiting on the client to come back.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, oh no, that's the wrong one. But yeah, it seems to be, like I say, it's really kind of sporadic.
Yeah.
I know, circle of death. No, so I'm getting, sorry, we cannot find that page. Try going back or contact us if something is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
entire Events Air build.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that circle of death. I've had that. And it's always the way you phrase it as well when you submit the support ticket. How many of us would have put the phrase, I have got the circle of death?
Yeah.
You could keyword it. It would be so many. Yeah, that's not good. Well, hopefully when you go back in, it's resolved. I can see there's a lot of activity online, so I'm sure there's lots of maybe a few gremlins from that latest update.
I think the hardest thing is when it's events you're not loading at all, is that you can't even, well, you can submit a ticket by emailing, but you can't use the help thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not ideal at all.
I
Does
actually
anyone
had
else?
I don't know if this is sort of related, but I had an issue this morning. I was trying to create some custom fields and I created them all. I could see them all. I went out and came back in and they were gone. So I don't know if that's, related to the same thing or not, but yeah, and I've gone out and gone back in a number of times and then one
I,
wasn't
heard a
showing. I
similar.
recreated it, then it showed up again.
I was having that with
Yep.
presentations a few weeks ago as well. And
Mm.
even I know for quite a while now, color coding keywords and themes and stuff like that hasn't been working. And I would do that where I would create it and I would see it, and then I would go back and it would disappear. And then you try to create it again and it would say you've already got, it's not
Yes.
unique.
Not
And then
That's
it's like,
yeah.
but it's not there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting, saying,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's not unique, but yeah, can't see. And then it came up, the old
Yeah,
one.
because
that I
it's
created
like
Yeah.
it's a
automatically
casing.
appeared.
It's like it's delayed and it is there, but it's not refreshing there. I
Yes.
had a similar thing this morning actually with a custom contact girl, Tracy, where I added 2 options to it, and then the first one showed up, but the second one didn't. And then I
Mm.
went to the form and refreshed it, and then I went and re-added the second one and again saved it. Still wasn't in the form. Saved it again, then it was in the form, and I was like, oh, that's a bit
Yeah.
weird. So maybe it's a bit of a like delay in the save or
Mm.
something like that.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, definitely a few gremlins. I'm sure that they will put a repair out if there are, lots of people having the same thing. Has anyone else had any issues last week? No, that's good.
I
Francie's
mean, I
like,
haven't actively been in there, so
yeah,
soz.
that's all right. That's fine. Does anyone have any things that they want to raise? Like, Francie, I haven't had a chance over the last week to delve into that thing we talked about last week around the submitting authors, but it's high in the list this week. It's just had a few other
We
priorities.
actually we've trialed something
Yeah.
with the symposium and
Yep.
it seems to work.
Oh, tell us if
It
you're
was
happy
actually
to.
it was Nikki's suggestion, Nikki as in from Events Here. So we set up the presentation submission as the main the symposium overview as the kind of main submission. And then for the 3 abstracts that went under that, we set up custom fields for name. We actually had to put name and title in one field because
Because you're not going to have enough
you've only
fields for
got
how
10.
many things. Yeah, you only got 10. Yep.
And abstract in the other one, and did that for the 3, and title, abstract, title, and abstract for the 3. And I was a bit nervous because I've done that before, and when the reviewers went to review it, it just had the one box and it didn't actually expand. But when we did the test, it did expand to show the whole abstract. And then we've gone through the reporting and stuff, and it pulls through. So it's still not ideal because you still have your presentations, your 3 sub presentations or symposia components in custom fields, but at least it means that you actually have the author details, and then we set up some comms so that the emails would go. How do we, oh no, because then I talked about your potential with the functions to then once they've had the had it approved, is to then look at doing the functions to get the co-authors or the other authors' details in. But yeah, it seems to be working in terms of the abstract submission and review, but yeah, there's still going to be that quite intense manual process.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say.
Getting the abstracts into the app and all that, like, where do you go from there? Yeah.
So the theory is that once they've accepted, then we'll look at trying to figure out the best way, whether we get people to resubmit almost as an actual panel, because with their panels, they sometimes move people around and stuff like that. So whilst someone submits a panel of 3 presentations, sometimes the team might actually move things around. So yeah, we've decided to kind of, it works for now. We can see the stuff for reviewing, and then we'll go from there.
The next bridge.
But it was the best option.
You could use presentation supporting document and have them upload the additional abstracts through that so that they appear as handouts and that. But
can those? Oh, of course they can go into.
You can have multiple supporting documents, so
but they'd
do that and
effectively
send
need
them.
to be in as a presentation themselves to be allocated to the agenda and have all the functionality around that anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're
Yeah.
gonna sort that one when we come to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm,
Definitely
sorry, I've got to
ongoing
run because I
conversation.
have a small person to pick up. But this is one of those like, oh my God, I can't believe I've only just spotted this. So for anyone else who hasn't spotted this, when you go into an attendee record now, you've got their name up the top, and then I'm just trying to think if I can show you this without, I can share my screen. Attendees, no, not there. Sorry, I'll just do this quickly because I've got a record of my own that I can have there. Share. Sorry, I feel like probably most people will know this, but it's just one of those things that if you don't, I was like, oh my God, this is
The
cool.
anticipation is killing me.
Yeah, sorry.
What is it?
So you have your name up here, and then
Yeah.
there's like a copy email address here and copy phone number, which I didn't know they existed, but even though I've pinned many things. So just in case anyone else is in the same
It's
boat.
only new. I think it's only come
It
out in the
is.
last few months.
Okay, that makes me feel
I
better.
haven't
Thanks,
Yeah.
Sarah.
noticed it either. So thank you for sharing that.
If it
That's
helps,
cool.
I know that
I
it's
haven't
there
noticed
and
it.
I still go into the
Yeah,
record
yeah.
and I'm like, damn it.
It's called habits, Sarah. Anyway,
Too
I gotta
long.
run
Love
then, guys,
that.
but nice to see you. Look forward to reviewing the thing and see you next week.
Yeah, have a safe travels to
Thank
Wellington.
you.
All
See ya.
right.
Thanks.
Thanks,
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Um, Renee, did you say that you did know that or you hadn't seen that? You did.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago as we were like right in the lead up to the conference, I had to email a lot of people, so I was very excited when I did notice that.
Yeah, nice. Your microphone's sticking up in the air, by the way, so we were a little bit
Yes,
quiet.
that's okay.
Whoops, my bad. Thank you for pointing
That's
that out.
it. That sounds better. Yeah,
Amazing.
sweet.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Love that. Does anyone else have anything they want to share, like insights or Sarah? Love it.
I don't have a sharing, I have a question. And my thing
Yeah.
that I've been saying for the past week is it's okay, I'm going to talk to my events air people on Monday to ask them this question because they'll be able to solve this with me. Let's go. It's abstracts again, isn't it always? Bane of everyone's
Yes.
existence.
Yeah.
So currently I ask for a lot of information. I use sporting documentation and I use custom fields. It means that mine is very long, like I'm using nearly all of my 10 custom fields.
Mhm.
I am wanting to, or I'm thinking about doing a two-step process, but I want them to go back in. I feel like the person who's going to have the answer for this is Fleur or somebody else, someone else from Aldrin Smith, Annabelle. No, you don't. Oh,
She's not there anymore. She's moved on.
You know, Sarah, I'm not there anymore.
no, I know that you're not, but I was hoping that you could like put Annabelle and I working together, and Annabelle, Renee, and I working together
Yeah.
in her
My
new
new job.
capacity. There's a way that you can, so I want them to, so I still want to do some of the documentation, some of the supporting docs, and some of the custom fields in my first pass. Is there a way? Can I just lock down? So if I send them back through Fleur with that code, can I get
Mhm.
them to enter in new documentation as well at the same time?
Adding new documentation or
Yeah,
editing additional. Yeah.
yeah. I don't want
Yeah.
them to edit the abstract, obviously, but I'm going to
Yeah.
ask questions like supporting, mine's are around like accessibility and I can't remember what the other ones are, but like accessibility and engagement and things like that that are important once they've been accepted, but not necessarily important when they're submitting because they're now complaining that it's too large.
Mhm.
We do. I'm sure Fleur's the expert.
No,
We
go for it, Lisa.
we
Yeah.
well we do the same. So we go out and ask them then once
Could have
they've
asked you a
accepted.
week ago, Lisa.
Oh, so, well, I was actually off last week, Sarah.
Okay.
We go back and ask them like what their patient requirement is, and this year was the first year that we actually asked them what level their presentation was pitched at. whether it was beginner, intermediate,
Mm-hmm.
advanced, I recustomized the themes to be that, because we found that we're trying to engage more with the younger demographic, and I feel like sometimes they feel like the conference is, oh, it's all advanced. So we got the speakers to go back, and I'm hoping someone has a thing of where they can change their title, like not to change their titles, lock it down, because we just had in big bold red, do not change the title, do not change your abstract, but they definitely could go back in and change those additional documents.
There's a script to switch off editing the abstract.
I'd love
provided.
that.
So I'll
Me too.
dig that script out. And I feel like you can lock down the title in the same way. I'll have to check that. But
Because that'd just
if
be like
you
another inspect with the script. That would be.
Yeah, but if you also like create a different portal when they're going back in, and then you can control what's displayed and what's not in that portal.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So like I would always, if I was getting them to log back in later and upload their poster, if they've been accepted, I'd create that as a separate portal so that I can display different things in it, and also not have to reword my original abstract submission portal, because then I'd have to create that again later. So I was kind of think about any second step as a second portal. You can have as many portals as you want. So it just allows you to sort of get a bit more specific in the wording of that. But let me dig out the script.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, because that was an issue. And the other thing that we had scripted and we've talked about before, Sarah, and I keep meaning to send it to you, is that
I don't have
the
I don't have your new email. This is the problem. I'm like, I'm gonna have to wait until AirHeads.
yeah, the red triangle that comes up
Yes.
when you I'm gonna
Yes.
script to
Someone
get
was
rid of
saying you
that
can get rid of
as
that.
well,
Yeah.
because it's
I
really
know.
confusing.
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
what I did, Lisa.
Yeah. I'll get it sent over to you both. Yeah.
We call it a bit of it looks like a Hogwarts Horcrux, or that, no, what is it?
You're at a building site. So you're at a building site. Take that away. Yeah, we scripted that out. It's really confusing for people.
Very
That's amazing.
So yeah, those two scripts would be what you would want, and then probably looking at the inspect element on how to control other things that you can do, and obviously within that they can't submit new ones, so you've just got that part of it switched off. But yeah, that should solve.
Thank you. That's going to be my next few weeks, isn't it? Building.
I will take that out for you this evening and pick you up.
Does anybody else ask for things like accessibility and engagement and things like that? Or are we the only ones that really do that? No? No?
No,
Okay.
not in any I've done previously.
No.
But
Is
makes
it
sense.
for the speaker or the attendee, or is it both you're doing it for?
For the speaker, are they making it accessible for the attendee? And then we ask like stress management. We've got a question about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. All of those. Yeah. There's a lot. I've got too many.
Yeah.
Way too many docs.
Yeah, I don't haven't in the past with that, but yeah, the limitation of 10 fields is challenging. I'm actually working on one at the moment for a client, and I am right at the limit of the 10.
That's where I
And
am.
8 of those I need because they need to be in the reviewing portal, but 2 of them, and I've actually had to, because of the number of fields, I've had to really rethink the way I capture stuff. And I have gone through a process with that client of saying, here are all the fields that you capture historically. What is relevant to the author? What is relevant to the reviewer? And what is relevant to the paper? And if it's something that's just for the author, like photography permission, I'm putting that in just custom field in the contact, in the author contact form, trying to keep it out of that 10 and really drill down that 10 is the most high priority for me is reviewing what I need to display in there. And then it's really sometimes rethinking how you do those fields and whether they are relevant to the author or the paper.
And
Because
we've
you've got
started.
unlimited custom fields for the author, in the contact custom fields, you can have as many as you want, but is
Yeah,
it to do with the paper or the author?
we got lawyers to write up a terms and conditions, and I'm going to change how I do it this year. And I'm including things like the photography and the things like that. And I found that that's not just
Yeah,
photography, but like recordings and things like that. And
yeah,
that's a massive thing because then I'm not seeking permission, they're granting
yeah.
it.
Exactly. I think that's a good way of doing it. Yeah, for
And
sure.
then it just
And it
lives on
takes
our
a few
website and
fields
never
away.
gets taken down.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Mhm. Does anyone else have any burning questions? I would love to get people's thoughts on AI. It's been such a buzzword over the last few years, and I'm going to fully be transparent here. I don't even have ChatGPT. My husband is effectively married to ChatGPT. He talks to his all the time and it knows him intimately. I don't have it. I'm very not really a big AI user. I haven't adopted it. However, clients are constantly asking, what can we do in events for AI? How can we use AI in our event? And it's hard question to answer because obviously ChatGPT is great for putting together marketing material or putting a video of a session in and getting the top 10 quotes from the panelists. It's amazing for that kind of thing. But in general, do I see a future where I walk up to a registration kiosk and there's no people there, it's robots? I don't really see that future. That's not me. I think there's a personal touch, and I would be sad if that disappeared. But I would love to be swayed and find some reasons for using AI so that when people ask me that question, I might sound a bit more intelligent and well versed. Well, I've been to sessions on it, keynote speakers on it, and I've still walked away and gone, no. So, no, and that's me showing my age. I am a
I think,
77
wasn't
baby.
it? I think AI, wasn't it that events was going to be like one of the jobs that were going to be replaced by AI, which I can't
Yeah,
imagine how. Um,
no.
I
I
think like
mean,
for
obviously
me,
in air they've got the help bot. That's AI. That's clever. I like that. But yeah, let's go around. Tell me your thoughts. Lisa, start with you.
yeah, yes, I do, and her name is Roxy. Um, you can ask your ChatGPT what they would like to be called. It just makes it feel anyway. I'm probably wasting a whole lot of water and energy by asking it its name. For me, this is the first time we sort of used it because with 12 concurrent sessions, it's like Netflix for our members when they come on the ground. So we actually, because we've got different themes, and sometimes people will want to go just to one stream. So we put it into Roxy and said, can you design a 3-day program that this person with this specialty should that they could do over the 3 days? Can you mixture it up with live like workshops or lectures and then we actually sent it out because when they registered, we knew what their specialty was. And we actually said, hey, this is what we're trying to basically the whole reason we wanted to do it was because we try to get them to view the program before they get on site because we all know it doesn't look great on the app. So we actually said, this is what ChatGPT thought that you should do, recommended for you. What do you think? Just sort of like, and I think sometimes we're always trying to hide and say, oh, no, we didn't use whatever, but just to sort of show them, well, what do you think? And it actually, I felt like this year people were more prepared on site. We had less complaints about how the app looked on a mobile device. I felt like, and we had a lot, like it was a lot larger to like we gave them gamification points if they downloaded the app earlier. And we found that a lot more people had done that the week prior. So that's probably my new thing. I think like everyone, I use it to analyze survey data and stuff, but that's the only real thing that I'm using for at the moment.
I really like the off AI chat, but I really like the idea of gamification points for downloading the app early, because it is good for people to download it a week before. We always launch a week before, but then they wait till they get on site. But if they download it before, they're so much more prepared when they get on site. So I think anything to incentivize them to do that's a good idea. I love that idea of using it for that. That's much more useful than what my husband asks it. So brilliant. Annabelle, have you used it?
Not in relation to events air. I've used it for like membership. So my other job is membership for an association. So I've been using it a lot for trying to do different sort of emails to different demographics and things like that, and using it that way, and with program handbook trying to liven things up a little bit for that. But I haven't used it in terms of events air as yet.
Okay.
I think Fleur, you and I are at the similar. We're at the same staff conference, and we had a lady come in to teach us about writing, and what she said is very true, that starting with a blank page is very hard, whereas Chat GPT can give us a few starter points. So that's sort of what I'm using it, is just to sort of get my head around where I can start, and then putting my own little buzz in there.
Yeah, I think certainly around marketing, I can really see its use. I did a course about 1 to 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, which was events AI course, where they provided us with a software that had specifically designed for event managers, and it was largely around that kind of thing, and marketing, and being able to plug in the video, and it comes up with all the top 10 points and stuff. And I came away like quite excited by it. I liked the fact you could give it prompts for getting a slogan, a theme for a conference, coming up with that, saying, here's a conference about blah, 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 come up with 5 tagline options for me. Even graphic design, the ability to do AI generated design is really interesting. I've seen that done quite successfully. But I came away excited, but then the reality was the day-to-day of my job, I wasn't really touching it, because we weren't doing a lot of the marketing for events. So, and we had graphic designers who did the design. So the theory was cool, but in practice, it didn't really translate. Sarah, have you come up with an AI way to improve your abstract submission?
I wish. I'm playing a lot to it. I mean, I probably do it for what everybody else does. Survey analysis. I use it to write my comms. It writes nearly all of my comms. Strategic planning. Yeah, nothing that is probably groundbreaking to people here.
What about on-site at an event? Have you thought of a way of using it on-site?
Yeah, so there is an AI program that is not ChatGPT. It is I'm not going to name drop the organization, but they basically, you were able to plug it into the audio desk, and it was able to feed through and come out with like key topics, takeaways, and notes, and do captioning for each session. And it looks amazing. I've seen it in real life. Went to a industry conference that many of you will also go to in Melbourne. But the reality of when we got back and then I looked at pricing, it was just unachievable. Like I couldn't. I would love to do it. I can't see us being able to afford to do it, because it was just too high price. It's a great concept, and I can see it happening soon, but not right now. I suppose one of the things actually AI that we do use on site, Sarah Cole, shouldn't have said last. Sorry, associations people, two OTs and audiology suggested when we were talking about doing captioning. Microsoft 365 now does live captioning, and it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close. And given the cost of getting live captioning with a person per room, It does the trick, and we have definitely had feedback this year in our post-conference survey that people loved it, regardless of whether they needed it or not, they were using it. And that was an easy thing. It did cost us a little more on site with AV, just if they don't have the 365 licenses, but I would highly recommend that because it was a really good quick
Where do
win.
they read it? Just off a screen, or are they reading it on the device?
Just putting
or
on the
how
screen.
they
Yeah.
It puts it
on
directly
screen?
onto the screen. Yeah.
Okay. You didn't find
Yeah,
that
we've
distracting?
No,
yeah.
because it
Yeah.
kind of it sits, you can have it two ways. You can either have it sitting across the slide, which we didn't really like in the lower thirds, and then we got them to switch it so that it had a little, like almost like the slide became smaller and then it sat at the bottom of the slide. So it didn't distract us too much.
Right.
No.
How
Yeah,
interesting.
we have used that before. It was asked to be enabled for an event, and I mean, firstly, I'd say if your AV company is not using 365, then they should
Do you
be.
want to
They
email
should
them?
be.
Because I'm having some great times with them.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, most of your presenters will be using 365, and so if your AV company is not, then you're going to, at some point, you're going to run into incompatibility issues. Yeah, yeah, and there should be no reason why an AV company is not using the latest version of PowerPoint, as an example, and that is the latest version is 365. So anyway, that's that point. But secondly, the auto captioning does work well. The thing that I've thought about, the need for it. One other way that we've done that is by doing essentially a Zoom meeting that people can join in the room on their device, and have captioning all turned on. And one advantage with that is that they're able to,
Screenshot.
particularly if you have you can go through the transcript history a little better. So sometimes if it's going too quick and they just want to scroll up a little bit, or they want to rejig it on their phone to be able to show it better, they can experience that better. They can do it on an iPad. They can do it on a laptop. Like they can actually get a really good captioning experience, all without it being, to your point, without it being human captioning, which is expensive. You can do something like this that's already built into Zoom or Teams or whatever, and make that available. And so there's some things that we've done with Zoom. Zoom have actually done something quite interesting for live events. Not many people are aware of, but you can actually have Zoom webinar running on site, and instead of it using a whole bunch of internet, it's actually sharing from user to user, the way that you can set it up. And so, because initially if you said, I want a couple of hundred people to all be on the same Zoom webinar, the internet's just going to fall over. The Wi-Fi in there is going to fall over because it's all trying to get the same data. But there is a mesh system that they can use on site, specifically for kind of these sort of hybrid event-ish, where people are able to engage using Zoom in a live event environment. And so having captioning is one of those great examples, but also the screen share of what is on the screen for visually impaired people, that are able to make it nice and big, zoom in, do whatever they want in room, but on their own device, they're able to see it exactly. So there's a few of those sort of accessibility things that we're sort of playing around with that shouldn't be too expensive.
Oh, interesting. It would be also, I can see a use for AI potentially, and it's not come up for me personally, but I know that it's a need for some people with multi-language. I think there's probably great things in AI around being able to do multi-language transmission and stuff. But I haven't had to explore it personally, but I know international clients, it's much more demand for that. When you're doing world events where you might need it in 3 different languages, I'm sure the AI should do that.
Yeah, well, surprisingly, so just this weekend, I was just working on an event, an online event. It was only online, and already the Zoom captioning is translated, right? So that can be set so that whatever language they're speaking can be translated to the language that you want to read it in, which is really cool. But the chat is not translated, and so we actually built this little tool, which we were really excited about because it didn't take very long. But now the chat in any language, whatever language people are typing in the chat, would get converted to the language that you want. And so then we were able to see live chat in English. And this was a Portuguese event. So there's 5,000 people in Zoom, all chatting away in Portuguese, and we're seeing a live feed in English, which was amazing. It was really amazing. And so that was a cool feature. So, but I would just say on AI, there's definitely the content creation aspect, like you said about marketing emails and things. That's a no-brainer, right? Like it totally is. And particularly, I think when you want to not expand content, right? You want to reduce the content. And that's what's really cool is when you want to say, I want to communicate these 10 things in the most efficient way, like, because no one reads all the emails, right? They're like, they never get down to the presentation upload link or the, log into this portal or the whatever. And so using AI to reformat the emails, one of the things I like is when you put in dot points at the top of the email. Like, if you don't read this email, these are the 3 things that you really need to know.
Yeah.
Like, 1, 2, 3.
It's like Grant did the same course as us.
Yeah.
We did this fantastic
writing for the speed readers.
We did this fantastic writing course, and it is hard to break your habits and put it into practice. But things like, we used to say, click here to view the abstract submission guidelines, whereas you could just say abstract submission guidelines and have that hyperlinked and people know. But because we're used to the language that we use and everything very flowery, and exactly your point is that put the top 3 things or 4 things that they need to know at the top of the email, because they're not going to read the rest of it anyway.
And accessibility wise, you should never say click here. So I get ChatGPT at times because you want to say click here. Like, how do I not say click here? And that I find that helps. But even getting it to code things is one thing that I do is if you need it to check your code or need it to do something, the amount of times that I've stuck code through there just to be like, I can't, that there's something not working here, and it finds where I haven't closed my brackets because I've got my 62 pages.
It's all it takes. One little semicolon or something's missing, and it breaks it.
It's always the bracket.
Certainly for events, their websites, if you're going to put coding into them, ChatGPT can be amazing what it can come up with to be able to do things that it might say is not possible, but it is possible with the right coding. So I think with the harnessing of the power comes the speed of it, and then the personalization. So I really like, was it Lisa that was saying it before, that the personalization of saying based, not just like the more information that we can get from an attendee that we can feed in to say, customize an experience for them based on this, the better. And what is different, what it opens up for us is that in the past, we might have been able to say, hey, tell us the different streams that you're interested in, and so based on that data, you would want that to be very specific and say, it's this type of stream. It's the alpha stream and the beta stream they're the ones that I'm interested in. Whereas now we could actually just have a plain text field that they can say, what are you, what's the reason that you're wanting to come to the event? What are you most interested in?
I'm interested in finding out about alpha, but also I'm interested in the, networking with these sorts of people or whatever. Now, potentially we can feed that full text into an automated process into AI to then say, build a custom agenda or suggest some different things that they would do. Was based on this, you wanted to meet with these people. The best way would be to, go to this booth, as well as, catch this networking session and go to the bar after the, whatever it is. And that sort of stuff could potentially be emailed out just before the event happens, or, so I like thinking a little broader about speed and automation, and the processing of the data. So we've heard people talking about processing surveys and stats and things like that. I think that it can really help us optimize our events so that we're able to say, even the idea that looking at the numbers of people that have checked into certain sessions and predict whether we should be moving a session for the next day based on the numbers that we had in these previous sessions. Perhaps there's a lot of interest for that, and that we need to change rooms around to accommodate the larger size, attendees that are planning to come. That sort of stuff that I think could be really interesting to optimize the events based on data that's being processed for us on site instantly. That type of stuff. That's where I go with it.
What Lisa was talking about, I really like that concept. And excuse my ignorance here, because I probably just need to bite the bullet and get ChatGPT and get on board. But can you have ChatGPT embedded into like an events air website as a tool, so that I'm on the program page of the website and I have like a little pop-up thing, ChatGPT, where I can type in, looking at this program, what would you recommend? Like, do you know what I mean? I'd love to see it, like, rather
Give
than
Grant
having
3
to
months and he'll have it for you. 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Do you know
3 weeks.
You know what I mean? Like
3 weeks.
Because Lisa's concept there, she's doing it for the delegate, but I would want to do it as the delegate. I guess that's my next stage on that, is how could I, rather than just searching through a program, I could say on the website, I want to know about this topic, and then it just automatically goes through all of the things and goes, here's your agenda, you should go to these sessions.
Well, that's just like a bot, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. But like that's where you'd store all your FAQs and like. Yeah.
So I basically want that, but in an events air website. I don't want much at all, really. But
no, you don't.
Yeah. I think you're kind of always thinking about the delegate experience, and not just how we can use AI for our lead up and our planning, but how could they use AI? Lara's been sitting here quietly the whole time. I think she's got something to tell us.
I'm really sorry.
Blow our minds.
I've been working on something in the background, but I actually am having issues logging into events air. It's just going around.
Oh no.
And so I was trying to get that to work. Sorry. But no, I love ChatGPT. We're great friends, but I'm really curious as to how to use it better, or like make more advantage of EA with it. Obviously change lots of language and all of those sorts of things, and bits and pieces.
I see in the agenda for airtime in November that Maddie's going to talk on it, which is really exciting because, Maddie being head of technical at Events Air probably will have some really interesting insight.
Grant, wouldn't it be great to see like a panel of you and Maddie? Like face off against each other? It wouldn't be face off because he's too nice of a human, but
he's
he is nice.
He is lovely. But yeah, I'm really keen to hear because, as I say, I fully admit I just haven't got on board, and I lie there next to my husband while he talks to ChatGPT, and I'm like, is that your second wife? Like, you are literally all day. And what have you asked it now? And it's usually things that we can't talk about on this, but like, it really fascinates me because I've just and I think it's generational. I've been in the industry since I was 20, so 28 years, and I've not needed a lot of those things. It's like, how do you it's moving into that new generation of technology that's not always easy for people who've been in it for a long time, when we're kind of, well, this is the way I've always done it. It's a strange, it depends on your role within the company as well, of how much you have to use. But the amount of times I've had a client say, well, how are we going to use it on site? And I don't know. I don't really know.
I've got adult kids, and a lot of them and their friends are using it as a therapist. So I think your husband's probably, tapping into that sort of stuff. I think lots of people are going to use it more and more to, really hone in and create documents and, decrease workloads, I think. And I guess for me, what I'm really finding is when I'm dealing with younger committee members, they don't want the words anymore. They just want to click here, that, move, all that sort of stuff. And then the words are still there. They just want to be able to move their finger or whatever it is. So I'm finding just using AI to condense stuff, take out the excess words, is just probably the best tool for me.
Yeah.
And load your branding as well. If you load your brand, voice, and tone, it does it for you.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there. I was thinking about the summaries you're talking about, Sarah, with like the session summaries and things, which are super cool. If you're creating a whole bunch more content, because it kind of is, you sort of, okay, so you've got a recording. And what I've seen some of those, when we get like another half a page summary of what that session was about, my sense is that people are not going to read that summary either, and it's kind of like, so, but I like the idea of one piece of content generates multiple bits of content that kind of all feeds back onto itself. And so here are the key points, here's the keywords that came out in this session that could be interesting, and so because we're kind of in this 1 or 2 second flipping on our phone type thing now, right, where we're going through shorts and we're getting very quick at knowing whether this is of interest or not. So it's unlikely for us to sit and read for 5 minutes to determine whether we are finding that interesting. And so I think that's something about getting to very fast if this might be of interest or not. It's almost like the Tinder idea with session content.
This is not about AI, but one of the things so I did 10-minute rapids so I did 10-minute rapids, 20-minute orals, and then I did extended sessions, so 60 and 120. And cool. The 10-minute and the 20-minute, I was both told were too short. Everybody wanted the extended sessions. And so it's almost the flip of that. Like when they're coming to conference, they're wanting those extended hands-on. I don't want the quick hits. I want the food. I don't want my sugar rush. I want to actually eat. That was a really terrible analogy.
It's a really interesting topic, because I often think about that. I don't enjoy being a delegate. My attention span, I'm a very hands-on person. I like to be playing. So I like going to a workshop where I can actually do something. But sitting in a lecture, my mind is off in other places. And I think the younger generation now have quite a short attention span for things, because everything is so immediate for them. And it's going to be interesting to see how conferences change and evolve over the next period of time, to how people best take on information. And is it the tried and true, or do we need to completely relook at the way that we educate people? It depends on the conference, it depends on the theme, the subject, and all this. But it's just, it plays in my head, because I know what I'm like if I'm sitting in a session. I'm like usually thinking about Lego or something creative and what I want to be doing other than listening to that session about accounting. It's interesting. I'm surprised. I actually would have thought the opposite. I would have thought people would have said 10 minutes is quite short, but I would have thought 20 minutes would be much more appealing for listening than than 120 minutes of someone talking at me. I would just be, even a
Well,
keynote speaker, I'm like, nah, no, it's too long.
Well, it's more like and I think it comes back to again is that lecture style versus that interactive style. And it was
Yeah.
definitely, I think that that's coming through, is that the 20 minutes is not long enough because it is just being spoken to. They're not
Yeah.
interacting. It's just this is the information. And I think back to, I know at Airtime, where when we sat together and we did that a quick tips section or whatever it was. And I went up to Renee afterwards and I'm like, this is the session that I come to this conference for. Only
That's
this
it.
session. This is what I
Yeah.
have taken away. This 60 minutes has not been long enough.
Yeah.
But it's that's the thing because you're interacting, whereas being told how to use the product is not necessarily, you need to learn from others. And I think
Yeah.
that's where we're going to end up is, I'm going to be very interested in how do we pair that, for me in academic conferences, scientific conferences, how do we still keep that research, but then how do we bring that case study and interactive part of
Yeah.
it? And I work with somebody who's helps with the content, and she's got ideas. It sounds very difficult logistically for me, but I'm going to run with it, and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just interesting to think about how things are changing. A lot of conferences that I work on, it's repeat for 20 years. And every year it's pretty similar, like almost, and you kind of go, why are we not shaking it up? And that decision doesn't come from us as the event manager, that comes from convener, that comes from what they want. But I often go, what are you doing to keep and retain your new people and new members, as opposed to like just feeding what your members who are eventually going to die are requiring? And you've got some very different markets of people that you're aiming at, with the way that we listen, the way that we process, the way that we learn, and the way that technology has changed is massive for especially member organizations where you've got an aging demographic and a young up and coming demographic. They're going to want completely different things. It's an interesting topic for sure. Not that I have all the answers to it, but it's food for thought, isn't it?
I really like, it's one of the things that we've tried to move away from just being a service provider, and to be a strategic partner, with the people that we work with, so that right at the start of planning the event, we get to have some sort of input, right? Because we're working on these events all the time, right? We're doing events all the time. We get to see lots of things. We have conversations like these, and so before you've worked out how your event's going to be, let's have a chat, and let's throw in a couple of something different. It sounds like, Sarah, that's what you're doing. It's like, why don't we try just a couple of different sessions this time? Let's try something a little bit different. It might be a real hit. It's worth trying.
Yeah, and I think that I like 100%. I mean, not that I'm a strategic partner because I sit within an
Well, you are
organization.
in the organization, yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, I don't want to do the same. Like, you've done the same thing for 20 years. You've got declining attendee numbers. How do we change this? Like, changing things actually makes it harder for all of us. Like AI, it does make it more challenging for us. But I think that if we don't do that, then, I mean, we can keep pumping this out. But our attendees are going to get bored and they're going to stop coming. I mean, I'll still have a job, but
well, the chances are that they can access every other country's version of this too, right? Right, that's the competition. You're competing with the rest of the world, and so it's not just that you are you're in a village and you go to the town, hall, and that's it. No, it's actually the whole world is available. Most of these big conferences have sessions available where you can buy an online registration, or that's what you're competing with. And so when all that content is available, how is it different? And exactly what you're talking about: case studies, panel discussions, things like that, where people are really diving in. Some of the best sessions I've sat in scientific meetings have been the case studies where they're long-term case studies. It's amazing. They bring up, this is how this person presented 6 years ago, right? And then, so we did this. And then a year later, this happened. And then a year later, this happened, and it's like, and then this is how they presented. What would you do? And you have the panel of, or people, and that is just electric, because it's like, that's really, really learned. And you're putting all these, some of the professionals or really like professors and things on, kind of on the spot to say, what would you do with this? And I'm going to tell you whether that worked or not, or whether it might have worked better or whatever. That's dynamic, and that's not just boring content. Like that's fascinating stuff. And then questions are key. I just think we really need to be maximizing our question times, because questions kind of generate more questions, and sometimes as a delegate, you are inspired by a question, potentially more so than the answer. Sometimes we've got to get better at getting through more questions, because we tend to think we get 4 or 5 people up on a stage, and we want to make sure we share the airtime around across each of those panelists. Meanwhile, the people that are watching don't care. They don't care about that person rabbiting on, like, you want to hear more questions, and then quick, succinct answers, and then back on to the next question. And that means you're maximizing the time, and it honors the people that are in the room. So sometimes we just have it around the other way, where we think that we just have to honor the people on the stage. They're the most important people. No, the attendees are the most important people, and the questions are more important than the answers. And that's a real challenging flick.
We talked about this a little bit the other week as well, but also it's interesting when you come back to AI. I think there's like this challenge of utilizing AI but not losing human connection, because I think the reason that people come to events is to connect with other humans, and that's why that question and answer time is so important, because that's connection, and that's acknowledging me as a delegate that I'm learning something, and I think you get a lot out of that. But yeah, my concern with AI, I guess what holds me back from it is that I've always gone with personal connection, and like that's what is the point of difference, I hope, with me when I work with people, is my humanity, my ideas. And I worry that we're getting into a point where everything is ChatGPT's point, that I can look at something that someone's written and I'll go, well, that's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And it's a balance, isn't it? And I just think with events, like,
well, that's people using it sloppy though. Like that's not somebody using AI properly. Like it's that blank page thing that it was either you or Annabelle said is perfectly, like that describes it perfectly. I'm either giving it notes and getting it to rewrite it, or I get it to I need you to write this, and then you redraft it. Like, yes, get it to write in your brand voice and tone, but if you're then copying and pasting straight away, you're not doing it right. Like there always needs to be a human touch, always, always, always. And that's what, it has always been for us when we talk content is king and engagement is queen. But is it now that we're flipping it because of COVID, that our engagement is becoming king and that the content is the queen? It's as important, but it's like you can get this online.
I think so. I think what's brought people back to conferencing post-COVID is that human interaction, connection, networking, the ability to ask things, the ability to socialize with people. All of that is why I would go in person versus sitting online and watching something. So it's an interesting balance. I don't have all the answers to it, but I think the whole makeup of a conference and like how you make sure that you've got enough connection points. And the Q&A is a fascinating one. We bring it up all the time. Keynote speaker speaks for 50 minutes. A run over.
55 minutes
for questions. And what's the point?
Exactly.
Because so many times, like in this forum, something will come up and it'll flip register for someone in this group. We're like, oh yeah, cool, that makes sense. It's all about like an unplanned question can open so many doors.
100%.
I'm
No,
going to
I love
change the way
that.
I
And
do questions now because of the exact conversation that you two have both just had. That's absolutely flipped my mind on Q&A.
yeah, it's huge. And that's, you could totally flip the sessions that we do, where we tend to do 80% content and then 20% maybe questions. Some of these things you could flip that. You could totally do 20% content and then 80% questions, or 80% of your time is questions. Because it totally changes it. But the thing about the content as king, I think it has changed, and I think community is king. Common unity, right? The idea of how the reason that we have common unity is because of the common interest, the common connection. And so the common knowledge, whatever it is the reason that the people have come together, and the reason that they want to come together. And yeah, they want to be inspired and learn new things and whatever. The TED conference, not TEDx, but proper TED, they do it really interesting where they'll only do a few of those TED talks, maybe in that hour, and then there'll be like a 2-hour networking session, and then it'll come back again. They'll do like another half an hour or an hour, and then another 2 hours of conversation and connecting. And so the challenge, I think, is when we design these events, if we are in the position to be able to design them, is when we say, what is the key reason we're doing this? Why are we bringing everyone together? Is it just to watch content together? It
Never is.
it's
It's
not
always
really.
about the networking.
No.
Like that's always
Yeah.
everything that's coming through these days is because of networking. And I think that
That's right.
the challenge is breaking that. I think that, when you do a conference for so long, for like 20 years, and it doesn't change, the minute that you take, an inch, it's just like you've absolutely ruined the world. And I love the
Yeah.
idea of doing like 2 hours of networking to then come back, but it really is, it's changing that mindset. I remember talking to a professor who I was talking to him about how researchers need to come and present at conferences, and he's like, that's crap. He's like, that is not true. They don't have to present at conferences. That's what they're just telling you.
Yeah.
We don't need to accept all of these abstracts.
Right.
And so it's always an interesting thing to kind of get in that. It's not just us that needs to change when we're designing. It's that we need to take people who are used to a certain way of conferencing, we need to take them on a journey, because I think that we will see more engagement with our early career and younger members if we're going to see a change. And not just members for us, but like attendees of any event. They're there for the talking.
So you're right. The other thing that is key about the TED conference is that it's one session, right? There's no concurrent sessions. So everyone is experiencing the same thing. Everyone is on a common journey. And so what happens when we do concurrent is that we separate people, and everyone has this slightly different experience, which I get. For some conferences, it's necessary because they have to have all these different streams. But wherever possible, having a common experience for people, a common journey, actually creates a better experience, a better human experience, because there's more common experience, right? And
you're giving me the GBs. I love this.
So yeah, and so it's a different way. I think that particularly because of online events, that in-person events become more exclusive in the best possible way. We often think about in-person events as being larger and larger and having 2,000 people. Let's get as many people there. But what if you determined that the 300 number is the optimal size, or the 500, or the whatever it was, and you capped your event at that, and you planned it that way, and it was like, this is what our event is going to be. It's capped at 400 people. Our venue is set for 400 perfectly. Our social events are perfect for 400, whatever it is. And we've decided that we're just going to do instead of one event a year, we're going to do 4. We're going to do separate streams for that. And so we've targeted it to those 300-400 people. It's going to be an amazing experience. And they're going to walk away having connected better with people rather than racing all over a convention center, trying to find, getting lost, then they get to the expo and they get their coffee. Coffee takes 20 minutes. And so they're standing in a line and then they don't get any time to go to the booths. All the sponsors are unhappy. And you know what I mean? It's like totally thinking about making online events as big as you want, doing online events that feed the in-person events, and then just thinking about it in a different way. I think there's something there.
You'd be fun to work with.
I was going to say too, Fleur, that the AI, I totally agree with you. And Bev, my wife, has just finished her psychotherapy course. And so Lara was saying before about how people are using ChatGPT as for therapy, and it works. It totally does work. And one of the things that Bev is really into is kind of like art therapy. So more than just talk therapy, is like is drawing and using clay, and there's all these other cool things. And so she's kind of in a niche of her own, which is great. And so. But I think that AI in general can push us, or where we can use it as a conduit, is to push people to human experience. And so if the idea is that you can reveal more from a program that will help people to find other people, then that's a great use case, right? Like it's connecting people. Did you know that this session was happening? Did you know that this drinks was happening over here? If you're looking for that, these drinks time at this pub is going to be about this topic or whatever it is, right? Whatever this networking things. Did you know that golf was happening? Did you know that whatever, right? And so AI can be used to reveal those things to people, to try to get that human connection. I think it's going to happen more and more as people are going to desire more and more of the human connection. So let's create really great, like outstanding in-person events that aren't just about content. Push the content online, but create those in-person events as a lot about connection building, community building, challenging people's thinking, that sort of stuff. So anyway, you got me started now.
I know. Yeah, you're like, I've got all the way to drive to Mount Gambier to think about
That's right.
This
stuff. That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
It's fun.
Well, it's been really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
It's good for me to sometimes talk about a topic that's not my speciality, because everyone has things they want to learn about, and that's what this forum is about. Like, it doesn't, have to be an expert in everything, and being open to change is a good thing, and we all find change in different ways challenging. So it's great.
Good times. We're trying to keep to an hour and we can't.
I know, because I always start on a
Sarah
tangent.
jumps on, we start talking about. I love it.
I'm so sorry. Good. I'll stop coming.
No, don't apologize. It's so wonderful.
Please don't.
I love it. I love that we get to connect like this. It's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
For your time. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
I don't know if we put Renee to sleep or.
No, she's in the background.
No,
that's my nickname.
Still here. Yeah,
my nickname is Q and Alan.
It has
literally they call me Q and Alan.
Yeah, it has been such an interesting discussion, and I'm still fairly new to the events industry, so this has been fantastic for me to listen to and take in. I don't have a lot to add at this point, but it's this is a fantastic learning for me as well.
Awesome. It's great.
Always welcome. Always covering different things. So yeah. Sarah, if you think of any hot topics you want to hit next week, let me know.
I was about to say engagement, but then I was like, that really takes it away from Events Air, doesn't it?
That's okay.
Not necessarily. Well, we can talk about gamification. I think gamification can be used in a good way.
Gamification is really fun. That's something I would definitely love to do more, because I did.
Let's do engagement next week.
Gamification.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Let's gamify.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.